Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, June 9th. Today we will see no significant impacts to fire potential across the Great Basin, just gradual warming and generally light winds. Over the last 24 hours, we've seen thunderstorms across eastern Idaho into parts of Utah. These thunderstorms produced generally light amounts of precipitation, but there were a few spots in some of the brighter blues that saw over a quarter or over a third of an inch of precipitation. Great Basin fire activity has been light across the area with only a few small fires reported over southern and central areas of the basin. Looking at our last 7 days, the observed precipitation is on the left, and you can see quite a bit of precipitation over the last 7 days over much of the eastern two-thirds of Utah, further north up into Idaho and Wyoming, and even over into northern Nevada. This precipitation has been well above normal for the time of year as that very cold system moved through earlier this week and this past weekend. Current ERC conditions, ERCs have come down region-wide due to the cold and wetter weather we saw recently. We still have some areas in the south that are showing between about the 50th and 80th percentile for ERC, and some of our drier spots that did not receive much precipitation or much cooling from this latest system. Further north, however, we saw ERCs come down significantly across the Great Basin. Looking at some of our fuel charts, again, the bottom right image, in some of our drier spots of southern areas of the basin that did not see that precipitation, ERCs only came down slightly, but are still near to above normal for the time of year. Over the rest of the Great Basin, we saw more significant drops in ERC with those colder and wetter conditions, and many areas are seeing now below normal ERC. We will see those ERCs rebound this week as warmer and drier conditions return. The satellite image from this morning shows that area of low pressure is now well to the east over the Rockies, with the weak ridging building over the Great Basin, again bringing us those drier and warmer conditions. Later this afternoon, we may see some cloud cover over the northern areas, but generally drier conditions and warmer over the region than what we've seen over recent days. Fire potential has dropped in all areas. We're still seeing some low to moderate fire potential in the south, again in some of those drier spots that did not receive any precipitation, a significant decrease in fire potential further north. Relative humidity will drop into the single digits to low teens over the southern half of the Great Basin with those warmer temperatures and remain high in the north. Winds will generally remain light across the Great Basin, but some moderate winds with gusts in the 20s over parts of Wyoming into eastern Idaho and northern Utah, especially in the higher terrain. As we move into Wednesday, that ridge continues to move over the Great Basin with warm and dry conditions. We are starting to see, especially our finer fuels, dry out again from the recent wetness, so we will start to see fire potential creep up as we move north over the next couple of days in the basin. Relative humidity in the single digits to teens across much of Nevada into western and southern Utah. And again, winds generally light with some moderate breezes over parts of eastern Idaho into Wyoming on Wednesday. On Thursday, that ridge of high pressure starts to move off to the east, and we have a stronger low now dropping down off the west coast, which will move into the Great Basin later this week. Winds will start to increase on Thursday over western and southern areas with that dry air in place. We'll continue to have to watch those winds. Right now, wind speeds look to remain marginal for critical fire weather conditions, but we'll keep an eye on those western areas. You can see on Thursday, we start to see a lot more yellow on the map as those fuels start to rebound with those warmer and drier conditions, with still moderate fire potential in the south. Relative humidity drops into the single digits on Thursday across much of Nevada, into much of Utah, and even into the teens further north into Idaho. You can see the wind picture in the image on the left, those winds starting to increase on Thursday. Again, most gusts look like they will stay in the 20s or around 30 miles per hour, but we will be watching those winds if they're going to be any stronger with those drier conditions in place. No precipitation expected over the next few days as the ridge of high pressure moves over the area. As we move into Friday, we'll see a more significant change to our weather with winds increasing in a wider fashion, especially across all of Nevada into parts of southwest Utah. So we will see the high risk for winds over much of Nevada. These wind gusts look like they should be between about 35 and 45 miles per hour, or possibly even a little bit stronger along the Sierra front. So again, we are expecting those winds to significantly increase and temperatures will start to drop as that area of low pressure moves into the west coast. We might see some showers and thunderstorms over parts of northwest Nevada into parts of Oregon and Idaho, but right now it looks like most of the weather will remain to our west and north. On Saturday, that system swings through. We will see a significant cooler air mass in place over the northern and western half of the Great Basin. So temperatures will warm to just above average this week and drop again to well below normal again this weekend. But this will not be as cold as what we recently saw with this last storm system. Windy and dry conditions will continue on Saturday over parts of Utah, and so we will see those high risk for those areas where the windy conditions will combine with the dry conditions in areas of the critical fuels or where fuels are significantly drying out. On Sunday, that area of low pressure swings to the north. We will see cool and lighter winds in place across the Great Basin. Light to moderate fire potential over the southern half of the region, as we're not expecting a whole lot of precipitation with this system. The only exception might be parts of northwest Nevada. On Monday, we might see a little bit more weather move up into the north with westerly flow and continue with moderate winds across the region. Our 7-day total precipitation is indicated here. Again, any precipitation with this next front this weekend looks like it should remain confined to central and western Idaho and too far northwest Nevada, and then further north into the northwest. But most of the Great Basin will just see cooling temperatures. The 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us from June 16th through the 22nd, shows now warmer conditions and possibly near normal precipitation. However, it still looks like through the end of the month, we'll still see cooler areas of low pressure move through the Great Basin. They just might not be providing much moisture. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.